Got some huge news that obviously today we're recording. This is Monday. This will be out Tuesday. We may put this podcast clip on YouTube today on Monday anyway. But the SGL, this kind of Saudi golf league,
the breakaway league,
Well, this kind of started for us just over 2 years ago. So there's been a couple of these breakaway leagues been spoken about recently. And the first of which was the PGL, the Premier Golf League, that we did kind of an exclusive interview with Andy Garden, who was kind of the CEO and the front man of the PGL. And if you think back to that, that was very much this kind of, again, a breakaway league that was going to be a more like an F1 style format. We'd have individual tournaments, but there'd also be teams as well. Within that, it was going to be 54 holes. Every player would make the cut because there would be no cut. And it was all designed really to make golf kind of more accessible and, well, more fun to watch.
That's the thing. It's more fan-focused. Mm-hmm. Because from a viewing experience, I don't believe what's currently available right now is the best viewing experience. No. And I would probably say, I'd go as far as saying, probably most people think that way.
Yeah.
I will typically sit down and thoroughly enjoy and look forward to sitting down to 2 tournaments a year. The Open and the Masters.
Yes.
And the Ryder Cup, to be fair, when it's on. Everything else, like the Genesis Open this weekend, nothing against the event. It's an amazing golf course, Riviera. Tiger Woods basically hosts it. It looks glorious. I watched, and I'll be honest, I forced myself to watch the last 45 minutes I did. I went on the app and I saw the leaderboard. I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. That could be quite spicy. And I flicked it on. Mm-hmm. But that shouldn't be the way that the end of a tournament should finish. It should be so much more coming to a kind of climax. It should be so much more focused on the element of this is the final result. So a lot of these leagues like Saudi Golf League, Premier Golf League have come up with this kind of concept, so to speak. They're very similar to each other, by the way. Come up with this idea that they are designed on making it more friendly for the fan.
Well, that's the thing. So there's been quite a lot of confusion around this, and I understand it. So they are 2 separate entities. So the Premier Golf League that we obviously, again, had Andy Garden on the podcast, that's kind of not been spoken about as much for a while, really. But what has really hit the kind of headlines, and we've seen so much more of in the last probably 12 months, is this Saudi Golf League or SGL Super Golf League. I'm not quite sure. We do see it as SGL for Saudi Golf League. They appointed Greg Norman as a CEO, and they've obviously had some very in-depth conversations with a lot of the world's best golfers. I think all of the world's best golfers, in fact.
And a lot of players very early on, even when PGL was the first thing, a lot of players took either a strong stance on it, someone like a Rory McIlroy.
It was over 700 days ago. Apparently, he said he wouldn't play.
Wow. From the off, said, no, not for me. I'm out. I've got nothing involvement in it. My alliance is with the PGA Tour. And I feel like he is very much the PGA Tour's kind of poster boy. I feel like they've kind of maybe got him on side to go, we need somebody to be able to be a spokesman almost for the PGA Tour, because that's what he sometimes comes across as, which is great for them.
Yeah.
On the flip side, certainly in the last 3 months, there's been a lot of conversations with players like Bryson DeChambeau. Obviously, we had him on the podcast. Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, Lee Westwood,
Adam
Scott. A lot of players, big named players, some that are still very, very big name in the golf game, and some of them maybe towards the latter end of their careers, maybe contemplating the idea of something new.
Well, that's
maybe looking at an option to go and move to a breakaway league.
Yeah.
Not saying a lot. A lot of them have had to sign these NDAs or these secrecy agreements, but sometimes that has backfired a little bit because it's almost like they're not saying anything. They're not saying whether they're in or out.
Well, the big news that broke yesterday, or Sunday would it be now, was the kind of guys that we looked like were almost certain to be in this SGL was Phil Mickelson, Bryson and DJ. They were kind of the 3 really big names. DJ came out and said, no, I'm not going to be playing.
I've got a statement.
Go on.
Should I read it? It's not too long. This is actually posted on behalf from the PGA Tour on behalf of Dustin. Over the past several months, there has been a great deal of speculation about an alternative tour, much of which seems to be including me and my future in professional golf. So he's kind of like, just pulling me into this. I feel like it is now time to put some such speculation to rest. Mm-hmm. I am fully committed to the PGA Tour.
Yes. And then was that yesterday?
That was yesterday.
A few hours after that, then we got one off Bryson, which says,
while there has been a lot of speculation surrounding my support for another tour. I want to make it very clear, as long as the best players in the world are playing the PGA Tour, so will I. As of now, I am focusing on getting myself healthy and competing again soon. I appreciate all the support.
So that one sounds very much, literally, if you read it, that if the best players in the world go over to the SGL, I will also follow. But I think what's interesting, I've tried to, over the last couple of months, and certainly the last couple of weeks, and this has really blown up, is think about, for me, as a viewer, what are the pros and the cons of these kind of breakaway tours. I think the big number one potential con we're seeing so much online about the SGL is obviously this kind of Saudi-backed and the human rights in Saudi, and that really has caused, and you see a lot, you see it obviously when the boxing went over to Saudi.
Yeah, or the F1.
Yeah, there is a lot of, negative feedback and negative noise around that. That's going to be something that's going to massively put off a lot of players. I think that's one of the things that Rory said as well, and why he doesn't want to take part. So that's certainly, a very kind of hot topic right now. But I think the benefit of these potential ideas of breakaway leagues, whether it's the SGL, the PGL, or anything else that comes, in the future, is it's hopefully going to make a better product for the viewer. Regardless if the PGA Tour suddenly then change how they do things and make kind of more shorter events or more fun events or whatever it might be, or if a breakaway tour does come off that's funded by somebody else or whatever, I think as golf fans, it's definitely an exciting time. But what do you think?
Well, to be honest, you made a really good point just even before when we were chatting. It's hard to say if buts and maybe, this Saudi Golf League, the SGL, was turned into the Santander Golf League.
Yeah.
Okay. So completely removed from Saudi, as I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Watch now, I'm saying this, and Santander's a Saudi company. I don't know, but
let's go Google.
Google. Right. Okay. If it becomes the
Google, GLG, I don't know.
GGL.
Google Golf League. Yeah, GGL's got a nice ring to it.
If it was the Google Golf League,
yeah.
Okay, and the money where it was coming from, because obviously Google have got a fair few pounds. If it was coming from that, would it be a different conversation?
The Apple Golf League I'd be into.
Would it be a different conversation?
I feel like, well, yeah, there's been so much noise around the Saudi thing. My heart would say, yeah, if it was somebody else, then, but equally, I then think people don't like change, do they? Which you understand. And, to a lot of people, the PGA Tour has been very good to them. And like Phil Mickelson's become a multi-millionaire from the PGA Tour. So some of the things he said about the PGA Tour and its greed haven't gone down too well.
Well, he's really, I think, out of all the players mentioned, he's the one that's done the biggest U-turn.
Yeah.
For me, he came out over the weekend. I think he did an interview with one of the media in America.
I think it was Alan Shipnuck, is it, from Sports Illustrated?
And he went on to say that, I better find the quote, but something along the lines of, basically, I'm doing this to encourage the PGA Tour to get better.
Yeah.
Basically, he's on about image rights, and he's talking about how the PGA Tour have made so much money off his image rights and this, that, and the other. And I thought that's really interesting take, because you're there very strongly opinionated about what you think about the PGA Tour, but yet you've really just kind of shot yourself in both feet, surely, because you've just said, I've used the SGL as almost a bribing tool against the PGA Tour. So you've not only kind of pissed the PGA Tour off a little bit, you've also kind of annoyed the SGL potentially. I don't know the ins and outs of it. So he seems like he's really come out very, very outspoken. It'll be interesting to see. There's talks about suspension from the PGA Tour. I'm not sure, because even Rory had a proper go at him yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. He said, I'm not going to kick a man while he's down, but he was been like, I can't remember the words he used. I'll try and find it now, but it was
naive, greedy,
something along them lines. Yeah, I want to try and find it.
So it has been very, very, very interesting. Like I said, loads of reports. And I think I was trying to find a quote before that would summarise this up, but I'm struggling to find one. I'm sure someone could come up with one or find one. And in a weird way, after all the dust settles, and let's say the Saudi Golf League disappears, or PGL, whatever happens, let's say these breakaway tours do disappear for the time being, and whether new ones come back or if they come back with a different plan, I do genuinely think things that test us make us stronger. Mm-hmm. And if PGA Tour look at that, somebody's coming to test them, to challenge them. And it may have opened their eyes and opened the players' eyes of other possibilities.
Well,
And I think then, because of that, and it's probably opened the fans' eyes to possibilities. Like, I never comprehended, before we talked to Andy Gardner or talking about what this kind of SGL are looking to do, I'd never even comprehended there could be another option.
Yeah.
Like, if you now scrapped everything that we know about professional golf, tour golf, and had to rewrite the manual again, you would do it different to what's out there at the moment.
If you think about it now, the PGA Tour, there isn't really an official off-season, is there? Obviously,
No.
some of the better players decide. January, they kind of take a bit of time off sometimes.
Then they'll go off to Dubai and whatever.
And then equally, you don't know when it's certain, even big events, some of the big names just aren't playing. Then you have the cut, which is, I get the cut to some degree competitively. It's like quite an exciting storyline on the Friday that you've got a cut. But equally, like if you have travelled 6 hours down the road to go and watch a PGA Tour event or the Open or whatever it might be, and there's a cut, and your favourite player's not there, that could be quite like disheartening as a fan.
Yeah.
So there is definitely, I think, types of tournaments that could be introduced where they maybe were shorter formats or, I don't know, different formats. That's the exciting thing with this. It's just whether it's going to be the PGA Tour that take control of this. The PGL are now saying they want to work with the PGA Tour. So they've changed their stance a little bit. They were definitely a competitor, whereas now the Premier Golf League is saying they would sit alongside the PGA Tour for these PGL events.
I'm going to come up with the RGL.
Rick's Golf League.
Yeah.
Chipping comp.
There's going to be 6 holes.
Yeah.
Quick 6, basically.
Yeah.
6 holes, 6 players, $6,000. If any
Best players in the world would be there for
if
that.
any players want to sign up for that, 6 holes, maybe do it a couple of times a week. No, a couple of times a month, sorry. I don't want to stretch you too much. Round Marriott, Worsley Park, 6 holes, $6,000, 6 players.
I'm in.
Serious note, though, right now, I do think professional golf, how we view it, does need to change, though. And I do think PGA Tour may just see this as an opportunity to go, yeah, maybe we do need to look at changing a few things up or whatever it may be. Like you say, some of the things that you've mentioned there, because I just, when you look at other sports, and I'll use F1 as an example, and I've got a bit into F1, and you've started to watch.
I've started watching the Drive to Survive, and it's definitely opened my eyes to.
I am itching for the start of the season. I cannot wait because there has been an off season. Like
That's the thing.
I've missed it, and I'm not a big fan. Like, I'm not a real hardcore fan. And I think in golf, if suddenly I hadn't seen the best players in the world play for 2 or 3 months, I would miss them. I'd be desperate to know who's picked up ridiculous amounts of club head speed, who's suddenly changed sponsorship just before the season, who's changed caddy, coach in the off season. Imagine the little snippets that you'd see from the different players. I just think that we don't get to miss the players. We almost have too much of them, and then we underappreciate them a little bit. So, and I think the players, I mean, it's obviously up to them. I think they should have a rest a bit more. They should be able to put their feet up for 3 months.
But it's also knowing
year.
when that rest is, because some players may decide to take off some tournaments, others. If there was like a set period where you've got the 4 majors, obviously at the heart of it, you've then got 20 other events max. It's 24. I mean, that's still quite a lot, but that would be 2 a month.
Finish the season at like end of October and let them have November, December, January as rest period. Imagine February now.
Or with the new drivers, new irons,
I'd be
new ball.
desperate to know, like, and in that off season, I honestly think you'd see more changes, more developments.
Yeah.
A bit like what we saw with Bryson through lockdown. Remember?
He came back as a beast.
Like Bryson did that because he had time off to do it. A lot of players don't have this time off to change and really kind of make some significant gains if they wish to. They have to take time off because otherwise they've got to keep playing in tournaments.
Well, that's the thing. As I said, there's lots of different kind of opinions on this SGL, on the PGL. You know, some for it, lots against it. But it will definitely be interesting, like you said, to see where this goes the next month, the next 2 months. You know, the SGL may still go ahead. Who knows?
There's lots of talk today, and I've even seen Rory come out and say it's dead.
Yeah,
that's it. Well, I'd be interested to see if it is.
Yeah, and it has to be a good thing. The fact we're talking about it and how golf can be a little bit more fun to watch, it has to be a good thing.